Hey warriors, you felt that shift. 1 second, you're the quiet one. Next thing you know, the whole block's whispering your name. The same gang that used to test you. Now they step back when you walk in. Why? Because their leader, the one nobody dares to challenge, just warned everyone not to touch you. Oh, let that sink in. You didn't beg for power, you became it. You didn't chase validation, you earned fear, respect, and silence all at once. This ain't luck. Nah, this is the price of standing tall when everyone else folded. You see, this speech isn't just a story. It's a mirror for every soul that's been underestimated, doubted, or left in the dark. Yeah, I'm talking to you. The one who stayed quiet but watched everything. The one they ignored until silence turned into strength. So sit tight. Comment your favorite line below. Let me know. Were you the quiet one they never saw coming? Because today, this peace, this voice, this madness, it's all dedicated to you. The ones who never quit. The ones who rise without permission. The ones who make silence loud. Welcome to a gang leader just warned others not to touch you. Your new leader now. The Joker speech that doesn't just speak power. It reminds you why you carry it. Power doesn't ask for permission. It announces itself in silence. That's how it happened. No fireworks, no ceremony, just a quiet shift in the air and every eye turned toward you. The street went cold, conversations froze mid-sentence, and even the fearless stepped back like instinct itself whispered, "Don't touch him." That's when you realized something had changed. Not because you spoke, not because you begged, but because someone the world feared, had just warned the rest not to lay a single finger on you. A gang leader, the one they said could break bones with a stare, the one who ruled every shadow with a single word. He didn't threaten, didn't roar, didn't lift a hand. He just said it once. He's off limits. And that was enough. Oh, you could feel it. The way silence bowed to those words, the way eyes started measuring you differently. Respect, not given, but transferred, just like that. See, power doesn't always wear a crown. Sometimes it walks into the room disguised as calm. You didn't even know you had it. That quiet weight sitting behind your gaze. That thing that made the violent hesitate. Yeah, that's it. That's what they saw. They saw that you weren't afraid of pain anymore. They saw that you had already lost everything they could use against you, and that made you dangerous. People fear the one who's got nothing left to lose, but they obey the one who learns how to stand in that emptiness without flinching. You didn't shout. You didn't posture. You just stood there unshaken while everyone else waited for permission to breathe. That's the moment you stepped into something greater than authority. You stepped into command. Oh wow, it's strange, isn't it? The moment the hunter becomes the law, you didn't even ask for it, yet the world placed it on your shoulders. Maybe they saw something in your eyes, something colder than rage, sharper than vengeance. Maybe they saw control, the kind that can't be faked, because real power isn't about making noise, it's about making silence obey you. And now they whisper your name differently. Not as a target, not as prey, but as a presence. You can feel it, that invisible shift, like gravity deciding to favor you for once. The streets talk, not through words, through energy, through the way footsteps slow when you pass, through the way even arrogance folds its hands when your shadow crosses theirs. But don't misunderstand. This isn't about fear. Fear fades. Respect lasts. What that gang leader did wasn't protection, it was recognition. He saw the spark, the inevitability, the rise coming his way. You didn't take his spot. He gave it to you without saying it out loud. Because leaders, real leaders, know when their reign has met its successor. You see, in their world, leadership doesn't come from age, wealth, or chaos. It comes from presence, from the ability to remain unbroken when everything around you is cracking apart. You had that. That's why he warned them, not out of mercy, out of instinct. He sensed that if anyone tried you, it wouldn't end well. Not for them, not for him, not for anyone. So here you are, standing in the eye of power's storm. No applause, no speech, just silence, thick, heavy, watching. And you, the new axis, everything spins around. The warning has already spread, echoing through alleys and whispers. And whether you accept it or not, they've already chosen their next leader. You. Leadership isn't given, it's tested through fire that no one else can stand in. You asked what happens when the one they fear finally decides to lead. It begins with silence. Not the kind that comforts, the kind that watches. Every pair of eyes waits to see if you'll crumble under the weight they just handed you. Because leadership isn't a throne, it's a trial. And the moment you step into that space, you stop living for yourself. You start carrying the cost of everyone watching. Oh wow. It hits differently, doesn't it? That sudden realization that respect feels heavier than fear. Everyone sees the crown, but no one feels the scars beneath it. They see strength, not the sleepless nights it took to earn it. And you don't get to walk away anymore. Once they've marked you as the new leader, you're no longer a man in the crowd. You're the mirror they all look into, and some of them won't like what they see. See, real leadership doesn't start with control. It starts with restraint. Anyone can burn everything to prove a point. But to hold power and still choose discipline, that's mastery. That's the difference between chaos and command. The gang leader saw that in you. The calm behind your eyes, the patience that doesn't bend even when provoked. He saw that your silence wasn't weakness, it was calculation. Yeah, that's what frightens them now. You don't react the way they expect. You don't bark. You don't flex. You wait. You move when it matters. And when you do, everything shifts. That's when people realize power doesn't shout, it decides. And your decisions now echo far beyond your words. Every choice you make defines what kind of leader you become. The destroyer. Oh, you'll be tested. They'll push. They'll whisper. They'll question whether you deserve that warning the old leader gave. Some will smile to your face while sharpening blades behind your back. But remember, true strength isn't proven in comfort. It's forged in confrontation. You'll stand in rooms where loyalty bends, where greed pretends to be friendship, and where silence hides deceit. And through it all, you'll have to remain still. Because if you lose yourself chasing their approval, you lose everything. Leadership isn't about pleasing them. It's about holding your ground when no one claps. It's about setting a standard so high that even those who hate you can't deny the truth of your presence. That's the test. Can you lead without becoming what you once despised? Nah, this isn't a fair fight. It never was. But maybe that's the point. Maybe leadership was never meant to feel safe. It's meant to carve you into something sharper, wiser, more unbreakable. You don't need their validation anymore. You've already been chosen by the chaos itself, not to rule it, but to command it with purpose. Purpose doesn't whisper. It roars inside the quiet mind of the one who finally understands why he was chosen. You asked who could stand against power once it finds purpose, the truth. Almost no one, because purpose turns strength into precision. It transforms chaos into focus. And when a man like you begins to see why he was spared, why he was warned for, why the leader stepped aside, everything changes. You stop chasing meaning, and meaning starts chasing you. Oh, wow. That's the twist no one expects. They think leadership is about control, about standing on top. But real power, the kind that lasts, it's about responsibility, about carrying the weight without letting it crush your humanity. That's the balance most never learn. They either become tyrants or victims. But you were built for the middle ground, calm in chaos, ruthless in principle, silent when noise tries to bait you. The streets watch you differently now. Every word, every step, every pause studied. Some want to understand your mind, others just want to predict your next move. But purpose doesn't need to explain itself. It just acts. And that's what terrifies them the most. You no longer react from pride or anger. You respond from clarity. And clarity, my friend, is far more dangerous than rage. Yet they used to see you as another face in the crowd. Now they see you as the one who moves the crowd. You became a mirror they can't look away from, because when they see you, they're forced to confront what they could have been if they hadn't sold their discipline for comfort. You didn't rise because of luck. You rose because you stayed awake when others fell asleep. You watched. You learned. You adapted. And when the moment came, you didn't flinch. That's the secret behind purpose. It doesn't arrive wrapped in comfort. It crawls out of pain. It's born in betrayal, in silence, in nights when no one believed in you. It's shaped in moments that break others, but refine you. Purpose burns away what's unnecessary, until all that's left is the truth of who you really are. And that's why no one can take it from you. Because they didn't build it. You did. Brick by brick, scar by scar. Nah. Don't let them tell you it's luck. It's not. It's discipline disguised as destiny. Every decision you made in those dark hours when no one was watching, that's what gave your name weight. That's why when that old leader looked into your eyes, he knew. He saw something that couldn't be faked. Conviction. The kind that doesn't need an audience to stay strong. And now they wait for your next move. Not out of curiosity, out of anticipation. Because purpose in motion is unstoppable. It doesn't chase fame or validation. It chases legacy. And when legacy takes root, even time itself takes notice. Every rise demands a sacrifice, and every legacy leaves behind something bleeding. You asked if you're ready to pay the price. Let me tell you something, no one ever truly is. You don't prepare for it, you endure it. Because the moment you carry legacy on your back, you stop living for comfort. You start living for impact. And impact, it comes with a cost that comfort could never afford. The same people who once cheered for you will start testing you. The same hands that lifted you up will tremble with envy when they realize they can't reach your height anymore. Oh wow. It stings, doesn't it? That realization that greatness isolates. You used to walk among them, now you walk ahead of them. And that distance, it burns their pride. They won't say it, but you'll feel it. The room goes quieter when you enter. The laughter turns measured. The smiles become performance. But don't mistake distance for loss. Sometimes isolation isn't punishment, it's refinement. See? Legacy isn't built by being liked. It's built by staying true when being true costs you everything. You'll be misunderstood, judged, even betrayed, but that's fine. Because truth doesn't need defenders. It just needs to be lived. And your actions, they'll speak in the silence, long after words fade. Yeah, that's what separates the real from the temporary. Most people only want power until they realize it demands patience. They want the throne, not the sleepless nights that come with it. They want the respect, not the accountability it carries. But you already learned that pain is the tuition for greatness. You've paid enough in silence, in discipline, in restraint. You've earned the right to lead, not because you wanted it, but because you never ran from the weight of it. Nah, don't pity the loneliness. Use it. That silence that follows betrayal, that's where clarity lives. That's where the next version of you sharpens its edge. Let them talk. Let them underestimate. Because legacy doesn't argue, it outlasts. The gang leader knew this part too. That's why he didn't hand you the crown. He handed you the consequences that come with it. He knew the weight would test you, shape you, define you. And if you could carry it without losing yourself, you wouldn't just lead them, you'd change them. The world doesn't test your power to break you. It tests your fire to reveal what you're truly made of. You ask what happens when the world you lead begins to test the very fire that built you. It happens right after silence, when they start believing they can challenge the storm you became. Because that's how it always goes. The moment you rise, they start plotting to bring you back down. Not because they hate you, but because your strength exposes what they've buried inside themselves. Weakness hates mirrors, and you became the clearest reflection of everything they could have been, if only they had the discipline. Oh wow. The tests don't come with warning signs. They come dressed as betrayal, as doubt, as whispered lies from those you once fed. And you'll feel it, the sting of every false smile, every loyalty that turns its back when no one's watching. But here's the truth. Every test is a question life throws at the unshakable. Do you still stand when the floor falls apart? And you will. Because you didn't rise for their approval. You rose for order, for purpose, for the principle that strength must mean something. Yeah. They'll come for you. Not with armies, but with temptation. They'll try to lure you into chaos again. Make you lose your balance. Make you forget why you started. They'll call you arrogant for standing tall, heartless for staying disciplined, cold for not reacting. But leadership isn't a performance, it's a responsibility. And those who mistake calm for weakness will soon learn that silence can be sharper than a blade. Nah, don't let their noise shake you. Let it fuel you. Because every word thrown against you is proof that your presence still commands their attention. You've become something they can't ignore. A reminder that true control doesn't come from fear but from restraint. That's why they keep testing you, because every time you choose composure over reaction, it kills their chaos a little more. And that's the beauty of it. You don't need to fight them with fists or fury anymore. Your discipline is your weapon. Your patience is your armor. And your purpose, that's your crown. The world might throw storms your way, but storms only matter to those who don't know how to walk through rain. You've already learned to move in silence, to strike only when necessary, and to build when others destroy. That's why you'll survive their tests. Because you're not powered by pride, you're powered by principle. Oh, they'll realize it too late. The same ones who doubted you will one day speak of your name with weight, not out of fear, but out of acknowledgement. Because you didn't just take the throne, you earned every inch of it through fire, restraint, and unshakable will. And when the dust settles and the silence returns, you'll stand there again, calm as ever. Not the hunted, not the follower, but the new standard, the unbroken, the inevitable. And there it is, the shift you never asked for but earned. The moment silence bowed to your presence and power finally spoke your name. Oh wow, you didn't climb to the top, you became the top. You didn't fight for a title, the streets gave it to you because they had no choice. Yeah, they warned the world not to touch you, because they knew touching you meant ending themselves. You didn't need an army. You were the storm they feared. Every test, every scar, every night you stood alone, it led to this. That moment when respect stopped being requested and started being automatic. Nah, don't let it get to your head. Let it get to your heart. Remember where you came from. Remember what it took. Because power without purpose burns fast. But power with discipline, it has become a legend. And legends don't fade. They multiply. So if you're still here, you're not watching a story anymore. You're watching a reflection. You're built from the same silence, the same fire, the same resilience that makes the world pause when your name's spoken. You're proof that strength isn't loud, it's inevitable. Oh, to everyone still standing, still fighting, still proving, this one's for you. You're the reason this voice keeps echoing. You're the reason the fire keeps spreading. So drop a comment. Let the world know you heard this, you felt this, you are this. Because this isn't just a speech, it's a warning. The streets know your name now. The crown has found its next keeper. Yeah, just like that. Your name is everywhere. It's flying through group chats, bouncing around in jealous whispers, tattooed on the minds of people who don't even like you. Yet they can't stop watching you. Huh? Isn't it hilarious? You're living rent-free in the heads of people who swore they were above you. Oh, the irony. You didn't post anything wild, you didn't start any drama, you didn't beg to be seen, you just existed. And suddenly, boom, your name starts trending. People are arguing about you, stalking your every move, obsessed with your silence, your glow, your growth. And all you did was be you. Tell me that's not power. It's almost funny how loud people get when you don't say a word. They're watching you like it's their job, clicking, scrolling, analyzing. But what they'll never admit is that they wish they had your fire, that raw energy, that fearless soul that didn't ask for approval, but still took over the room. So welcome to the chaos you never asked for, but fully deserve. Because when you're real in a world full of copies, you become a threat. Not by shouting, not by begging, but by breathing. And if your name is causing earthquakes without you lifting a finger, you're exactly where you're meant to be. There's something incredible happening behind the curtain that you might not even see. Wow. Your name? Yes, your name is echoing in places you've never walked into. It's being whispered in circles you never signed up for, and it's being typed, searched, watched, and rewatched. Not because you begged for attention, but because your existence alone shifted the air around you. You might not fully understand the weight of your presence yet, but it's time you did. You see, people don't obsess over ordinary, not ever. They don't track, talk about, or get angry at the invisible. They obsess over the fire, that spark. They react to the force, the disruption, the jolt that reminds them they've been standing still. They respond to anything that challenges the dull routine of their lives. And you, my friend, are exactly that. A spark in their dark room, a beautiful disruption. A disruption to their comfort zone. A reminder that they're standing still while someone like you dares to move. You became a mirror they didn't ask for. Laugh softly, showing them what it looks like to rise without permission, to shine without apology, to walk through storms and still smile like the chaos didn't touch you. That's why they can't stop looking, can't stop talking, because your story, your silent battles and loud victories speak to a part of them they've buried. And instead of facing it, they focus on you. They magnify you. They study you. They try to reduce your greatness into something familiar. They pick apart your words, your clothes, your habits, like detectives on a mission, hoping to find a weakness, because deep down, your strength makes them uncomfortable, and that's power. But this isn't something to fear. This is something to own. This attention, this noise, this secret audience you never invited, it's not a curse. It's a sign that you're no longer in the background of your own life. You've stepped into your spotlight, and whether you wanted it or not, they're all watching. And in that watching, there's energy flowing toward you. Some call it gossip, some call it hate, some call it jealousy. But in the end, it's all just recognition. Whether they like it or not, they've accepted that you matter. They've marked you as different. They've crowned you with the kind of relevance people dream about. Not the shallow fame, but the deep kind. The kind that stirs emotions, that causes reactions, that forces people to talk about you when you're not even there. That's power. And the best part? You didn't buy it, beg for it, or steal it. You earned it with your resilience, with your truth, with your refusal to shrink. And I know, sometimes it feels like a curse. Like being noticed too much is draining. Like being misunderstood is exhausting. Like you wish they'd just let you be. But listen, diamonds don't get created in comfort. They're born under pressure. You're not just trending because you exist. You're trending because you've tapped into something most people never reach: authenticity. And when you're real in a world that rewards the fake, when you keep going while others freeze, when you glow up from the very pain they assumed would break you, they notice. That glow, it's not just skin deep, it's soul deep. That energy, it's not something you can fake, it's raw, it's earned. That's why it spreads, that's why it sticks. You're the plot twist they didn't expect. You're the chapter they thought ended, but somehow kept writing itself louder and bolder. And maybe they don't know your story, but they feel your presence. They sense your energy before you even speak. That's rare. That's sacred. That's something you should protect. Let them argue. Let them doubt. Let them spin stories in their heads while you write your truth with actions. Because real ones don't chase attention. They attract it. And that's exactly what you're doing, pulling gravity toward you, just by existing as you are. So don't shrink. Don't fade just because the spotlight feels too bright. Don't lower your volume just because others weren't prepared for your voice. You were meant to be seen. You were meant to be talked about. And even when they don't say it to your face, you're inspiring people. You're shifting minds. You're waking souls. You might not always get applause, but you will get remembered. And in the end, that's bigger than fame. That's legacy. So the next time you hear someone mention your name in a way that stings, smile, because that's proof you're alive in their world. Shaking up their thoughts, living rent-free in their heads without lifting a finger. That's dominance without effort. That's being unforgettable without screaming. And if your name is trending, it's because your journey is speaking louder than words. And that kind of impact, that's what legends are made of. It's a strange feeling. Just being yourself becomes a problem for people who've never walked a day in your shoes. You don't make loud announcements. You're not running around demanding attention. You're just existing, breathing, moving, living your truth. And somehow, that's enough to shake entire circles, to spark debates, to make people stalk your social media, dig through your past, try to find cracks in your armor. It's wild, but it's real. People will go to war in their heads, just trying to figure out how someone like you walks through storms like it's a casual breeze. They obsess. Not because you've wronged them, but because your strength, your presence, your peace is louder than their noise. And that eats at them. It stirs something in their soul they thought they buried. A longing to be bold, to be different, to be seen. But you got there first. You dared to live. You dared to rise. And they can't handle that. They stalk your life, not out of admiration, but because your authenticity is a mirror to their fear. They watch in silence, hoping to find flaws, because flaws make them feel better. Because in their world, people like you aren't supposed to be confident. You're not supposed to succeed. You're not supposed to be that quiet storm no one can stop. And when they see you being exactly that, it short-circuits everything they believe. So they argue, not with you, but with themselves. They create entire stories, twisting facts, inventing motives, just to make sense of why you glow while they stay stuck. But none of that is your problem. That's their internal war, their chaos. You've done nothing but exist. And yet here they are, clicking, talking, stalking, copying, competing with a version of you that isn't even aware of their presence. But let's be honest, it gets heavy sometimes. You feel it, don't you? That weight, that invisible pressure of being watched, the urge to retreat, to hide parts of yourself just to breathe in peace. But here's what you must remember. Your energy isn't a burden, it's a force. It's not something to hide, it's something to own. If your existence alone causes waves, imagine what happens when you truly step into your full power. Imagine what happens when you stop dimming your light just to make others feel safe in the dark. They already talk. They already stalk. So give them something real to witness. Let your success be louder than their gossip. Let your peace be more powerful than their noise. And don't waste your breath trying to explain yourself to people who've already decided who you are. Their version of you is built on fear and fiction. But your truth? It's untouchable. You don't need to fight to be understood. You just need to keep building, keep walking, keep evolving. Because every time you grow, you expose what they're not willing to become. That's why they obsess. That's why they mimic. That's why they twist your story into something they can digest. But they can't copy your soul. They can't fake your resilience. They can't replicate your journey. So they circle you like moths to a flame, hoping to steal a spark without being burned. But you're not their lesson to copy. You're their reminder to wake up. People arguing about you behind closed doors? That's proof you've entered their minds. People watching your every move? That's evidence you've left an impression. They're investing energy in you and you haven't even asked for it. That's power. That's presence. And when you hold that kind of power, you don't need revenge. You don't need validation. You don't need the world to clap. You just need to keep going. Quietly, fiercely, relentlessly. You don't need to respond to every opinion. You don't need to fix every misunderstanding. Let them create their versions of you. Let them argue over your value like it's a debate. You know who you are, you know what you've survived, and you know how far you've come. That's enough. That's always been enough. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to be undeniable, to walk in your truth so powerfully. Even the ones who hate you can't deny your glow. So let them watch. Let them talk. Let them obsess. That's their hobby, not your burden. You don't need to carry their confusion. You don't need to tone down your light for people stuck in the shadows. You are not here to play small so others can stay comfortable. You are here to grow, to evolve, to shock, to disrupt, and to leave a trail of inspiration that screams, I existed and I mattered. And if that stirs up jealousy, envy, gossip, or fear, so be it. That's not your storm to calm. Your name is trending not because you screamed the loudest, but because your silence, your growth, your rise is making the most noise. Let them chase shadows. Let them drown in questions. You keep being the answer they'll never understand. There's a kind of fire that doesn't need to burn loud. It doesn't crackle or roar. It just exists, quiet, steady, and untouchable. That's the fire living inside you. And make no mistake, it's terrifying to people who've built their identity around control, conformity, and comparison. Because while they were waiting for permission, you just showed up. While they were hiding behind masks, you were busy being raw. You didn't come to impress. You came to be real. And in a world drowning in fakeness, someone who's real is like a lightning strike. They don't know what to do with it, so they obsess over it. Try to analyze it, talk circles around it, argue in their heads over how someone like you can exist so boldly, so freely, so unshaken. You didn't try to be different. You just are, and that's what unsettles them. You're the one who walks through the hallway and shifts the air. You're the one who enters the room, and suddenly people forget what they were saying. It's not about your clothes or your face or the volume of your voice. It's your energy. That silent, undeniable force that wraps around people and shakes something in them awake. And it's funny because you've felt alone so many times. You've questioned your worth. You've doubted your path. You've laid awake wondering why you feel like a stranger, even among people who claim to know you. But what you didn't realize is that it was never loneliness. It was greatness, growing inside you. And greatness always makes people uncomfortable because it refuses to shrink. It refuses to beg. It just rises, slowly, relentlessly, beautifully. They don't hate you. They fear what you represent. You are living proof that it's possible to break free, to grow without permission, to heal without applause. You're proof that someone can come from chaos and still radiate peace. And when people see that, when they see you existing without needing their validation, it triggers something deep in them. They start questioning their own choices, their own cages, their own silence. And that discomfort, that reflection, that's what makes them talk. Not because you asked for attention, but because your presence demands it. You're a walking contradiction to everything they've been told. You didn't wait to be chosen. You chose yourself. And that terrifies them more than any loud threat ever could. This isn't about arrogance. It's about self-acceptance. It's about finally realizing that your existence is the message, that your life, your scars, your growth, your rise, is the loudest rebellion of all. You're not trending because you beg to be noticed. You're trending because your story is powerful, because the fact that you're still here, still trying, still walking, still existing, is magic. Raw, rare, untamed magic. And people can't look away from magic, even when they don't understand it. Especially when they don't understand it. So don't you dare apologize for the space you take up. Don't shrink to make others feel taller. Don't silence your laughter, your pain, your weirdness, or your fire just because someone else gets uncomfortable. That discomfort, that reaction, that obsession, it's not your burden, it's your evidence. Evidence that you're alive in a way most people never dare to be. Evidence that you're doing something right, that your soul is louder than your voice, that your steps are leaving echoes, even in rooms you've never entered. And yes, sometimes it hurts. Being misunderstood, being watched, being talked about. But you didn't come here to be liked by everyone. You came here to live so fully that even silence couldn't contain you. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're existing louder than their opinions. You're growing past their limits. You're becoming what they said was impossible. And every time they say your name, whether in hate or admiration, they're giving you power. They're pouring energy into your story. They're making you bigger without even realizing it. So hold your head high. Let them obsess. Let them whisper. Let them scroll through your life trying to decode your glow. Because while they spend their energy watching, you're spending yours evolving. And there's no argument, no rumor, no obsession that can stop a soul that's already chosen to rise. You're not here to explain your light to those who've chosen the dark. You're here to burn even if it blinds them, because your existence is proof that survival can be stunning, that pain can be powerful, that rising doesn't need noise, it just needs truth. And that truth, it's living in you. Right now, in your silence, in your resilience, in your decision to wake up today and keep walking. So walk loud, walk proud, walk like your name is trending, because it is. In rooms you've never seen, in minds you've never met, in hearts you never expected to touch. You're not just surviving, you're becoming unforgettable. There's something about you that flips switches in people. You walk into a space, quiet, humble, focused, and suddenly the air thickens, eyes shift, whispers start. You didn't say a word, you didn't brag, you didn't throw your success in anyone's face, and yet they feel it. That invisible power radiating from your energy, that silent storm behind your calm eyes, that's the kind of presence you carry. Not because you train to be intimidating, but because your authenticity is a mirror. And when people who are busy pretending to be strong, pretending to be confident, pretending to be whole, come face to face with someone like you, someone who's actually done the work, they feel exposed. Their act slips, their insecurities rise, their jealousy bubbles. And it has nothing to do with you being wrong, and everything to do with you being real. You see, there's a difference between people who live loudly for show and those who've suffered in silence and still came out shining. You're the second kind. You didn't get here through shortcuts or staged perfection. You've been through hell, and you walked through it without a spotlight. You healed in the dark. You grinded in silence. You took your pain, and instead of screaming about it, you built something from it. That's why they can't handle your presence. Because they've spent so long trying to wear confidence like a costume while you built it from your scars. They act strong. You became strong. And that truth, that realness, it exposes the layers they try so hard to hide. They're not really mad at you. They're mad at what you represent. You are living proof that it's possible to glow without begging, to rise without playing dirty, to thrive without stepping on anyone. You remind them of everything they could be if they stopped pretending and started doing the inner work. But that journey, it terrifies them. So instead they project. They act like you're too much, like you're different, like you're doing something weird. But it's not weird, it's rare. You're not loud. They're just used to silence. You're not intense. They're just uncomfortable with truth. You're not arrogant. You just stopped apologizing for existing. And it's painful, isn't it? carrying a presence that turns admiration into envy, that turns curiosity into obsession. You just want peace. You just want to move in your lane, but your light keeps dragging shadows out of people, and you didn't ask for that, but you were built for it. You were shaped for a path that would require you to be seen even when you wanted to be invisible. You were given a presence so loud that even your stillness makes noise. You're the kind of person who enters a room and makes people question their masks, and they don't like that, because pretending is easy until the real thing walks in. You carry something spiritual, something magnetic, something they can't name but can't look away from. You are both a challenge and an invitation to rise, to evolve, to be better. But not everyone is ready for that. So some will hate, some will gossip, some will make up stories just to feel like they understand what they can't control. And you have to keep walking. Not because you owe them a response, but because you owe yourself the right to rise without restraint. You owe your younger self the glow-up you promised. You owe your future self the freedom you fought for. You owe your soul the space to stretch without fear. Let them be triggered. Let them fumble in confusion. That's part of the journey. You weren't meant to be liked by everyone. You were meant to wake people up. Some will love you for it. Some will hate you for it. But either way, you'll never be forgotten. Because when someone lives so boldly, so honestly, so powerfully, their presence becomes legacy. Not because of what they said, but because of what they made others feel. And you make people feel. You make them rethink, reevaluate, reflect. That's your power, and you don't need to shout about it. You don't need to argue. You just need to exist. Loudly, unapologetically, freely. You are not a trend. You are not a phase. You are not an accident. You are a walking disruption to everything fake, small, and shallow. You were not made to blend in with the noise. You were made to be the sound that silences everything else. And if that triggers people, let it. You're not here to make everyone comfortable. You're here to be unforgettable. So here you are, still standing, still rising, still the name on their lips. They can't stop watching you, not because you begged for attention, but because you became undeniable. You didn't scream, you didn't chase, you just existed louder than they expected, and that's the power you carry, that's the weapon you were born with. Presence.